Hello and welcome to the American Soccer Analysis Podcast. We're back from a long hiatus because all work and no play makes Kieran a dull boy. I am joined today by Ben Benito Suarez Bellman from the MLS Thunderdome and Harrison Homie Crow. Gentlemen, I haven't talked to you in a while, so first off, nice to see your beautiful faces again.
Yeah, this is awesome.
What's the ASA weather update? How is it in Colorado? How's it in Seattle?
We had a land spout like a mile away, apparently.
What is a
A
land
land spout
spout?
is a tiny tornado that forms from a
Oh,
non-major thunderstorm.
whoa.
So I saw that like on Twitter like 45 minutes after that, like,
That's pretty
nice.
fun. Like, does it make like the full like
Yeah, you
Yeah, it
get the
looks like
funnel.
cluster?
you get like a little fun. I'll send you guys the tweet later.
Oh, that's fun. Harrison, how's Seattle?
It's 70 degrees, overcast, and amazing. I love it. So I hope all those California people are suffering in their houses right now because it's glorious. I walked around with a hoodie for half the day. It was so great. I
Wow,
loved it.
I can't wait for sweater weather. It's been cooler in Reno, but we have like a 600-acre forest fire going on like 20 minutes away. So it's very smoky and hazy. It smells like a campfire every day.
So you're close enough to almost be considered PNW. Like you were just outside the PNW kind of mark.
If you like drew a line from like Pacific Northwest and like California, we're like at the corner, like
Right.
where
And
those two meet.
well, so I bring this up for a reason because in the PNW, we summer kind of ends early, and then we have smoke. That's just an entire season. And so, and it's really sad because we just have so many forest fires that eventually happen in August. So you just have this so much smoke, and it happens either in Oregon, in Eastern Washington, Idaho, and it just drifts. And sometimes it gets across the mountains. And so this whole area just gets filled with smoke. And so that's just, man, yeah, I hope you don't end up having that, but I kind of suspect that Reno will have its own smoke season. And then once that
Yeah,
clears, you'll get summer again, and then you'll get winter.
we're all kind
Yeah,
of in the pathway of smoke where we
yeah.
are.
Well, Alberta is
Yeah.
having like big forest fires right now. It's a whole thing.
Um,
Yeah, do you guys get a smoke season as well, Ben?
it comes and goes, but yeah, last couple weeks ago was we had like four fires burning within like 50 miles of us, so that was
Oh
not
man.
fun.
Yeah.
Very fun. Well, something more fun than forest fires is the heating up, you could say the red hot transfer window, which closed in Canada yesterday because this year Canada decided to use a different window date than the rest of MLS for CPL reasons, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, that's why TFC Montreal and Vancouver got so much done on Wednesday or
August
Thursday
4th.
of last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the MLS transfer window closes tomorrow night at midnight. We're recording this Tuesday night, so it's the window will be about to close or just closed when this comes out. And we thought that we would look at the transfers that have happened, things we like, things we don't like, things we wish happened but either haven't yet or look like they're not going to. And then we're going to return to some trivia. I had some time to write some trivia questions. So, gentlemen, we're going to set ourselves a hard 5 minute timer because we cannot be trusted to stay on clock. Do you want to start with transfers you like or transfers you don't like?
Bad
Uh,
news.
bad news first.
Let's do the bad news.
Let's get our dose of haterade out of the way. Ben, we're gonna start with you then. The timer has started. Ben, what is your transfer that you hate?
So this came for like a flurry of moves from Montreal that are just kind of some seem good, some seem meh. And then there's them trading for a Caden Clark from Minnesota. And
Ooh,
I'm not sure that's a great move. And I think part of it is because I'm not sure what Caden Clark brings. I don't think I've never thought of Caden Clark as a possession player, and we know that Laurent Courtois wants to play a possession style. So it's going to be interesting to see what he actually asks of Clark. Like, is it going to be like a specific stretch the wing type of role to create space for behind? Is he going to have to actually learn to play with the ball? Like, I'm not really sure how that's going to work. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think of that one.
if I play devil's advocate, I would say they've traded 150K in GAM and a second round super draft pick and that is as close to like a free hit as you can get. And for his many flaws as a player, like if you ask Caden Clark's father, he is a possession player who's been ruined by the Red Bull system. Those who know. Uh, I think he's like a fun rehab project of like you take him for a year, and if after a year you're like, this guy sucks, you just move on and it doesn't cost you anything. Not that a second round super draft pick is nothing, because like teams do get value there, but I do think like as far as reclamation projects go, like this is a guy who moved for like a couple $1 million already. And I don't, and Montreal are terrible. So like there's no hit here. Like you're not giving up playing time resources even to try this out. Um, However, Clark the player, there's nothing there that I see really particularly worth rehabbing. Like I don't think I would make this rehab choice. Harrison, what do you think?
I really like it for a lot of the reasons that you already kind of stipulated. I think he's an interesting player. I see the talent in terms of like what he can do 1v1 at times. You know, when he was in New York, he can make big plays happen. Like he just showed so many situations. Montreal need that so desperately, right? They just need somebody that can create, and whether that's on the wings, a la like Jordy again, and maybe that maybe he's that missing piece for where Mahalovic used to play. Maybe they kind of change up their style a little bit. They also went and got Marshall Ruddy, so I mean, maybe that kind of really strengthens that wing. I don't know. I do think it's really weird that he hasn't found any time at all in Minnesota, and I think that
So
well, I think that can't be overlooked.
I think that's my biggest concern, the fact that they're willing to let him go for so little. And I
Yeah,
and I mean I think I agree with you, Kieran, that like Montreal is gonna be like uh like rehab city. Like it's like all of these players are gonna be projects. And we know Courtois can do that. Like that, so many players that he coached for Crew 2 are absolutely amazing now and absolutely starting level caliber players in MLS. So this, if you're Caden Clark, this is probably the move for you. I like I just don't know. Like it's such a style clash. Like I don't think I'd feel this way if he went to other teams like the Revs or the Union or like I mean I don't know much about the
I
Revs, and I think Porter wants to play possession, but I just don't know. But I think if he's worth if he's worth a flyer, he's especially worth a flyer for Courtois.
so here's some background data, because like I didn't know you were going to say this player, so I haven't done any research. So I'm just like perusing the old FB ref. 1,000 minutes, which is way more than I expected. About half of those are as a winger, and about half of those are as a right back. They have lost basically every game he's played at fullback. Like he's played fullback like 10 times, and they are like 2 draws, 8 losses. In the games he's played as a winger, they've won like 7 and drawn 3. Like this is not a this is a very weird
that
spread.
that is a
But
lot more time than I thought he would have ever
I
had.
know I had the same reaction. But what's interesting is he has like a very weird stat profile, like quite a lot of box touches, quite a lot of defensive actions. Um, like horrible pass completion, like ninth percentile, and not a lot of XG or shots to show for it. This is a weird one. I don't know if I hate this, but I think this is a cool one to flag up as a hater, because I think a lot of people would kind of let this run under the radar. That is our timer. Oh, it didn't come up because it did come up. There we go. Alrighty, stop. That's gonna like haunt people's dreams with like their phone alarm waking them up in the morning. Harrison, who is your transfer you don't like? And the timer is starting.
So mine is Sam Andrian, that St. Louis
Oh, Adeniran.
basically, yeah, that St. Louis basically kind of gave away for free. $150,000 in GAM, and that was it to Philly. So
So you hate this for St. Louis, or you hate this for Philly?
I hate this for St. Louis. Like
Okay.
St. Louis, I feel they needed help up top. And we talked about beforehand, like who was going to be the next Julian Carran's, and it just like it's so obvious here at this point in time to me that Andren is absolutely going to like slide into that. In fact, he just subbed on. I'm watching the Philly Cincy game, and I've just tracked him since San Antonio. I've tracked him since he was in Seattle. He's just pretty much scored and created everywhere he's gone. I don't know if there's maybe a personality fit. Maybe there's something that they just needed to. I really don't know why St. Louis just basically dumped him. And like I'd like to know some more details, but I just don't like this. They went and then they go and they sign Simon Betcher from Randers, who was a former first rounder from Vancouver, right?
I was very close to picking the Betcher transfer as one of my most hated. I
like
didn't,
that.
but it was there.
But like, so basically, you're basically trading Andren for Betcher. That's essentially like in my mind's eye, that's essentially what's happening, and I hate that. I think it's so stupid.
Except, I think they paid like a decent fee for Betcher. Like I think they paid like a couple $100,000.
I saw undisclosed, but I mean, yeah,
I know Vancouver sold him to Denmark for 400 grand, and he was quite productive there. So I would say they probably are paying a real fee for him. Some Adeniran data. He's 40th percentile for non-penalty expected goals and assists, 90th percentile for shot volume, 80th percentile box touches, take on, stuff like that. In his one Philadelphia appearance so far, he has 0.6 XG in half an hour, which is very on brand. I
Is he doing
think,
subs though? And this has been all the rage. Because
yeah,
if he's
yeah,
coming on a sub, then
oh,
those
for
numbers are
sure.
looking a little better than they might ordinarily.
Absolutely. But I think when we talk about this archetype of player, like this is a guy who has at this point 5 pro seasons and has cracked 1,000 minutes twice. And one of those and both of those are in the USL. He's never cracked 1,000 MLS minutes. I think that this archetype of player, especially for Philadelphia, sorry, who have like the opportunity to buy low on highly productive strikers who don't play that much, is very unique because they play two strikers, and there aren't a lot of teams who do. Um, and also, it means they can carry four strikers who are all going to play, whereas teams with one can really only carry like two and a half. Um, so I love this move for Philadelphia. This was in my honorable mentions for transfers I loved to Seattle. I don't know if I actually hate it for St. Louis though. Ben, what do you think?
I'm not sure. I don't know if I hate it for St. Louis either, because I think they just need a refresh. I think the project stalled after a couple year, well, year and a half. Like I don't think they're going to be missing too much if they're going to try and pursue a new style. I like it was what 250K gam you said for the trade?
150, 150, I
150?
think.
150.
That's not a lot of recoup though. So it depends on if it's just like you need space on the roster for what you're planning on doing. I'm a little worried about St. Louis in general and what they're going to be doing going forward. Like this feels like a little bit of a lost season. I don't know if Hackworth is going to stay around. I like there hasn't been a change in the front office leadership. It was only just firing Carnell. So I don't know if that's if they want to stick with the Geigen pressing thing or if they want it. Like it seems like Hackworth wants to possess, wants to pass. So I think they're going to need to pick an identity. So in that sense, I don't think I hate it, but I do really like it for Philly.
So some
Yeah,
final
right.
details on that as we're hitting the timer. It is 150K in 2024 game up front, and then another 300K if certain performance incentives are achieved.
Okay,
Mm,
You
I missed that.
that's better.
usually
That's better.
usually what we see is like that is often if the player is on the roster next year is a very common clause in those. So don't be shocked if that number actually climbs later. That's our timer.
I think he
Uh,
starts and is incredibly successful next year for Philly. Just going to throw that in there. Bye.
I love it. My transfer I hate is not official yet. So this is kind of cheating, but it's been confirmed by Doyle and like other reporters. So I'm gonna consider his word gold. Um, Andres Gomez from RSL has been unbelievable, and they have sold him to Rennes in France. for $16 million. That's an awesome fee. That's a great fee. It's the fifth highest in MLS ever. It's three times their record transfer. They went and spent that money on Diogo Gonçalves. Um, but like you're actually really good this year, and the West is wide open aside from LAFC, who are pretty comfortably the best team in the West, I think. And you are the team who has spanked LAFC every time you've played them. Like, have a little bit of ambition to try and win something. Like, convince him to move in January instead. So this is the move I hate the most because it is so like so boring. Like, who I don't care. You're already a billionaire. You own eight sports teams.
I agree. I agree with you, but I love this because I think it makes RSL worse. And I think this we might have a little back and forth with Harrison because I've watched three, like the Rocky Mountain Cup is in our hands. I've watched three games against this team now. Andres Gomez scared the shit out of me. He
Man,
is
he's so
so
good.
good. And you
Yes.
you you get rid of him. You bring in a new winger from the A League, I think, from
Mhm.
Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they
you're
got an Australian guy and they brought in Diogo Gonçalves from
yep. And
Copenhagen.
And Gonsalves is probably going to be good more like he's one for the like for the now and for the future, but
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
he's he's 27 and he scored like a little bit. Like he scored at a good rate, but
Hmm.
not like I think the Danish league is like comfortably worse than MLS.
Hmm.
Um, and they paid a big fee. Like I don't know, and he like either didn't get on the field or was unproductive at the other stops in his
He's
career.
had a lot of stops, and I'm just concerned that like maybe he'll be great, but is he going to be great in 3 weeks, in
Yeah,
7 weeks
good.
when
No,
it's
for sure.
playoff time?
So
Like they're worse to me, but
no, that's a really good point because like if even if we look at Andres Gomez, his first half season in or his first season in RSL, he was a point 0.4 XG plus XA guy. He was good, a merely good 20-year-old or 19-year-old or whatever he was. His second season, he is a point 0.8 XG plus XA guy with crazy shot volume, with crazy creation, and is electric. Harrison, as the like RSL sympathizer on this pod, how are you handling this?
I actually don't mind it. Like, yes, you guys are nailed it. You right? Like, absolutely, they are better off with Andre Gomez going forward, and they're going to be more dangerous right now than they're going to be with Consalves this year. Like, I don't see him even acclimating the rest of the year, but he's a 10, right? So that's the difference.
Mhm.
We're talking about somebody that's going to be doing the majority of their touches, that's going to be handling the majority of their balls, which means that Luna can go outside, right? He can move to the outside. I think that
That
changes.
Diogo Gonçalves, he's so good at handling balls, Harrison.
I can't believe I said it that way. Anyways,
You might think he's a goalkeeper with how good he is at handling balls.
I I think it frees Luna up a lot. And I think that changes how dangerous Diego Luna can be. And I think that's really important here when you're talking about the chemistry. Additionally, and I know it's a small thing, they also picked up Benji
Yeah, Benjamin
Michelle.
Shaw. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just wanted to
Yeah,
make sure
I,
I wanted to
I
make sure I
think
got that
and
right.
and they picked up the A-League winner winger whose name escapes me, but Caleb Wilkins, who's an excellent Twitter follow, I would recommend. He's New Zealand based, so he writes a lot about A-League players and New Zealander players, and he like projects out guys who he thinks can move to CPL, USL, and MLS, and his track record is very good. And he likes him. So that would
I th
be, I don't know. I think the thing that I specifically dislike about this move is like RSL have had so much success this season being like a very direct, wide transition play team using Arango as the tip of the spear, and then Luna and Andres Gomez do so much carrying in semi-transition that
Mhm.
like you move one of those guys and you replace it with like a more passing 10, like that is just a fundamentally different dynamic to how your team plays.
I think I think he's very capable of still being in that transition type. I don't think they're going to depart from how they play, and I don't think that it's going to be less successful in the context of they're still going to struggle, but they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be fine.
Well, the timer says that's a great point, but unfortunately, we're out of time. That's all the transfers we didn't like. Any like one sentence dishonorable mentions, like transfers that you also didn't like but don't have enough time to talk about?
I just think
Hannes
it.
Horn.
Go for it.
Giannis
Hannes Horn.
Horn
Yeah,
to,
Go
from St.
to
Louis.
yeah, I don't like their whole Bundesliga 2 thing. Ben, how about you?
I just think it's funny that LAFC just keeps having to loan out these players they're never going to play again, and you can just see the uptick come. Just
Oh,
like
I'm
all the
sorry, you
that's the
mean
way. That's a
Nigerians?
good way to
you
handle
mean
it.
Chelsea West?
I mean Mario
Ouch.
Gonzalez.
Oh, Mario Gonzalez. Yeah, you know what though? I think they do a pretty good job of like actually getting rid of guys
Yeah,
for wage coverage and like
yeah.
being able to rotate their squad.
I think it's good
Um,
management. I just funny to me.
oh, for sure, for sure. Dishonorable mentions for me. Vancouver waiving Javane Brown, who immediately gets picked up by
By
RSL. Like
Arcel.
that's a player that people obviously liked. Surely you could have found a trade instead of having to waive him. But I guess if you waive him and they pick him up, it's no cost to you to get rid of him. But surely you could have gotten something for him. Um, I hate Charlotte loaning Hamadi Diop to Serbia because that is a horrible league to be a young black person in. And like, I don't know, I feel like that's like a good player. Like you should be able to loan an MLS to get minutes or USL. And then the Bupenza contract debacle because of our draft, and that's bullshit. I hate it. What do you want to say? Alrighty, transfers we liked. I'm going to start here with a transfer that I think is probably surprising for me to like because I generally hate old players. Like I just hate it. I don't want to deal with 36-year-olds. I love Tim Ream to Charlotte. Um, the dude is like exceptionally productive at his age. He still plays a lot. Like last year, he played 1,500 minutes, which is way down, and that was more Fulham just having better center backs than him than it was injury. He is an exceptional passer as a center back, and Charlotte have zero passing from the center back position. I really like Malanda, but he can't pass. Like that, this has been a legitimate problem for them.
They've been
Um,
looking for that for a passing center back for a year and a half.
for sure, for sure. And they're like much better than I anticipated. Like they're a +4 XGD team. They have more of the ball than I anticipated. I've quite liked the ambition they've shown. Like they were in for Calvin Stengs from the Netherlands, who that deal fell apart. They've apparently gone after Almiron. Um, they took a run at Jamie Vardy, which is like very fun. Um, I don't think it's going to be like an amazing move, but I think he's going to be pretty good at least for the next 2 years. We don't have G plus for Europe, but we have the Davies model from Mike and Bergio and Sam Goldberg, who's at New York Red Bulls now. And Mike does stuff with teams. So if you're a team looking, you should reach out to Mike. Um, and Davies really likes Tim Ream. Like it has it as an average Premier League center back, which is like incredible for a 36-year-old. So that's I like that a lot.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. As a kind of a Fulham watcher, I'm a little sad to see him leave the team and everything, but it's great opportunity for him to move on, come back to the States, and finish his career up in a meaningful way. He's going to impact Charlotte in a great way, and Charlotte needs him in the most perfect sort of way, not in this desperate, we need somebody to stop the bleeding sort of way, but somebody to help polish our team off and what we do really well. So I'm really excited for them. I think Charlotte's going to be really good
Yep.
heading down the stretch.
I completely agree too. Like they've been so solid defensively this year. So this is clearly not a move like we need to bolster our like you've all said, like they just need gelling. Like they need to be able to connect their pieces together because their team's not bad. Their players aren't bad anymore. Like this can go somewhere. So with this signing and what there's another attacking signing that is not official or has been rumored. I mean, well, there's the Almiron thing, but
They were
it's someone else, right?
they were very close on Calvin Stengs, but apparently
Okay.
that deal fell apart
Okay, so
today.
that's not so that's not so that's a little disappointing. So they're not going to be like quite as dark horse contendery, but I think they're going to probably do better than the Rapids in the playoffs now that we're losing Moise. Like I wouldn't have said that a week ago, and now I'm saying it. So
I think
Great
that
signing.
that defense though, defense really impacts, especially in games like what we're seeing going forward in MLS playoffs. Defense hugely impacts games. I mean, we've talked about this in tournaments, right? And the playoffs basically is a tournament. So limiting your XG is huge. And I think Charlotte absolutely. And I just mentioned Charlotte's been looking for a passing center back. I want to remind everybody they paid 800K in GAM to Portland for Bill Tulliomo. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fun one. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised with them. I thought they would be worse than they are, but they've been like pretty smart about the moves they've made. I'm hoping that we see more Patrick Agyemang the rest of the season. I'm hoping that we see more Brandon Cambridge the rest of the season. Um, but like I have actually like quite liked what they've done. Like I think I was like pretty critical of them getting like Jalen Lindsay, who's actually been like very productive for them as a passer.
Mhm.
Dean Smith has done a really good job. I think he's a legit
He
coach.
has. He
They've
has.
done
I
a
remember giving them grief on this pod earlier in the season for not being able to create anything, but they've created a little bit more, and it's been enough given how locked down
no,
they are.
they're very reasonably solid. Even Ashley Westwood, like I think we were very critical about Ashley Westwood,
Yeah.
and like he has played a ton of minutes. And to be fair, he is exactly what we thought he was. Does no defending and just pass the ball forward all the time. So that's my transfer I liked, and that's the timer. So Ben, you're up. Transfer you love.
Transfer I love is LAFC picking up Lewis O'Brien on loan.
That's in
And
my honorable mentions. I love
I
it.
I remember, I mean, I wrote the LAFC preview for ASA this spring, and I remember going through this roster and going through everything. I'm like, gosh, this is a great top end team. This is their fire. I'm a little worried about depth, but the depth I was most worried about was Ilie Sanchez because they had no other D mid on that roster, and he's like what 33, 34. Like he's mid 30s now. I was very concerned about that, and this locks it down. I don't know how long term this is going to be, if they're going to try and sign him after this long term, but this solves pretty much any question they had roster wise for the rest of the season. And I will be shocked if they are not in MLS Cup. I will be shocked.
Harrison, you a big Lewis O'Brien guy?
Uh, yes and no. Like I've loved what he's done at Leeds, like in the championship and stuff. But aside from that, like I thought he played for DC United, right? He had a run out with
Yeah.
DC United and he was pretty consistent there. I was kind of surprised he didn't stay longer. No, Ben nailed it, right? Like they've needed a six in the depth charts, somebody that can give them more minutes and maybe even push Sanchez there at the six. I mean, there's a lot of different pieces that have been outbound. We just kind of made fun of LAFC for, constantly kind of rotating some of the young players, but this is why you go and get somebody that's experienced and that has that higher floor, right? That can help push things in training and is more experienced. No, I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, I mean I think like he's so interesting because like this is a dude who played like 11,000, 12,000 championship minutes for Huddersfield at 2021. Like that's crazy. And he falls into that weird archetype of like sometimes like players make weird moves to certain leagues and then like they're familiar with that league. Like sometimes you'll see like an English team will loan somebody to Italy and now like the Italian teams are all over him the next window he has to move again. And
Yeah.
like this is Lewis O'Brien where like okay, this guy is willing to come to America. Like sure, let's have a look. I think the thing I like about him is that he's like just extremely well rounded. He does many things well. Like he contributes a decent amount of shots, but also a decent amount of passing, a decent amount of ball winning. He can play as a six, he can play as an eight. Like there's a lot of flexibility to find him minutes, but also because you don't own him, like if you just decide to not play him, it doesn't matter. Um, and I think Ben, you're totally spot on. Like I think LAFC are animals and that really like they are just gearing up for a cup run. It's like every decision they should be making is like, how do we win MLS Cup this year? How do we win MLS Cup this year? Um, and it looks like that Griezmann deal isn't happening, but like this is a team very well primed to make that deep cup run.
I mean,
Um,
Griezmann's just that's just the cherry on the top, right? That's not
Hmm.
something they need.
no,
That's
no,
just something
Yeah.
they
that
don't need him. They don't need him. I actually want to ask you guys another AFC question, kind of not Lewis O'Brien related. I was talking about this with Doyle the other day because um I think it would Doyle tweeted something about like if they got Griezmann, like they would be prohibitive favorites for the cup or something like that. And I said, if they do nothing, I think I would take LAFC over the field right now. Like just as
Hmm.
they are. Like I would put them above 50%. We don't have the playoff probabilities yet from Maddie. I would suspect from the most recent ones I saw, which are probably 8 weeks old, I think they were like 28% to win the cup. So I'm definitely being excessive, but I'm curious what you guys think in terms of like LAFC versus the field.
Well,
Ben.
Westfield, yes. I think this is one of those things when you look at the larger probabilities, the MLS Cup probabilities are being lowered for Crew and Inter Miami because they're both so good. So
So
I think
yeah, like I think
mhm.
that's definitely true.
So they have more equal odds of getting to the final. I I like LAFC against Crew. I don't like them against Miami.
It's interesting.
I
It's
think Miami would
interesting.
rip them apart, but I
That
think
point is
LAFC
very
would. Yeah.
interesting because they
Hmm.
lost 5-0 to the Crew.
Hmm.
I think they beat Inter Miami. That's our timer though, so we're gonna move on. There is a fun LAFC conversation to have that I'm sure we will have come playoff time because they will be there or thereabouts. Harrison, what's the transfer you love?
Well, it's funny that we went and talked about the East and what just kind of a cluster it is of all the different teams that are going to try to, and really top heavy teams, right? One of those teams that's trying to make its way back into the playoffs is Philadelphia, right? I talked about them with the Sam Andren trade. Really, it's one of my favorite moves is Danley Jean Jacques, who
Whoa.
yeah, dude, they need help on that in that midfield. Martinez has only played he's missed about 9 or 10 games this season. They need help in that six. So kind of in that same Lewis O'Brien, I actually kind of felt like one person was going to go with that. I would have made that bet. One person was going to make that. So I actually kind of did this as a counter. I really like that move. I like the move a lot because I think it gives them depth. And I think that going into this stretch, they're pushing into the playoff spot and they're about to face some top end competition and they're holding their own right now against Cincinnati. I don't know what the score is. I don't have it on. I don't know if they're still up, but my goodness, like they're pushing forward. They got a couple of pieces now and I don't know if he starts and is an immediate spark plug, but he's really talented. He's coming from League Un, and like, dude, they're basically getting him at a reduced cost because uh men's I think he's coming from men's. They they got relegated, so they're just trying to offload salary. So I mean, it was a really shrewd pickup. I really like it a lot. I think that this could be something going forward that's really big. And then I have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different honorable mentions. I'll let you guys kind of comment on that though.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like distressed asset buying because teams go down or whatever. Um, I think that's like a fun, I think that's a fun wrinkle. What I would say is that I think he is the right profile that they should be looking for. Um, like he's mostly a ball winner, not a ton of passing. Like he's very much a Brito Martinez regen. I think the difficult thing with them is like, how do you balance like two guys who only win the ball and don't pass? And I think it's very difficult to play those guys together, which makes me question like Martinez isn't young anymore. Like I wonder what the plan is there long term. And like you have
I
guys
mean,
like Bedoya who like don't really play that much anymore. Like I think Ale's at like 1,000 minutes this season, something like that.
he made one of the worst passes today that I've seen from him, maybe in the last 3 or 4 years.
They won. They
Four to
won
two.
4-2, by the way.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, so like we'll see what that happens. I do think you're right though that they needed help in midfield. I've been very interested to see Kai Wagner talk about like, can you guys pay money, please? Like, can that happen at some point?
Mhm.
So that's interesting. Ben, what do you think of this move?
I think it's a good move. And I think specifically because it's probably time to think about a Martinez replacement. And I think that's probably the angle here is we'll see who wins the job this year. Like it's that time of competition. Like we need to make the playoffs. Everyone's competing for their spot. Like that's very much the Union right now. So if he can break in, I think that's probably curtains on Martinez with the Union after this season. Um, yeah, I think it's a good move. For less for now and more for the future, but it could certainly help for now.
Yeah, he does have that like interesting where he's like 23, so like he should be quite good now, but he's you would probably still call him pre-peak.
Hmm.
I think that's one of the really weird things about the Union is like actually if you look at their buys historically, like they have not bought nearly as young as you think they have. Like they have been a quite big like
They're in their
early peak.
prime.
Yeah, they've
Yeah,
been like they've been like an early peak to like prime age
they don't
guy.
want to risk on young people. They want to be like, are you a veteran hitting their peak where other teams have not appreciated what you can do, and we can bring that in and sharpen up
Absolutely.
the other stuff as needed.
For those 3 years that you're here.
Yep.
And to be fair, they have such a good academy, like they're choosing to invest those like
Yeah.
however many minutes they want to commit to like 18 to 20-year-olds who are not going to be good for you now
Hmm.
to their guys, to Quinn Sullivan's,
Yep.
to Jack McGlynn's, whatever. Um, that's our timer. So unfortunately, I have no more Philadelphia Union thoughts. Um, honorable mentions. I have a long list of them. Harrison, you said you have a few. Spout them off. Hit me with them.
So I have Ider Ocampa, who comes from
To
Colombia. He was,
Vancouver.
yeah, or yeah, coming from Colombia to Vancouver, fullback, really exciting. I really loved the Fidel Barajas sell to Chivas for RSL.
I agree.
Basically, they paid very little. They sold him for 4 million. They used that money to get strengthen their club. It was I like it.
Yeah,
And then
we talked about the Barajas deal when it happened because they paid 250 grand to Charleston or Tampa Bay or whichever team it was.
right,
And
exactly.
you saw like that's a crazy flip.
Yeah, another really well played move by RSL. And then Ricky Puig and Robert Taylor both had extensions to keep them, which I think both was brilliant for both sides. So those were my honorable mentions.
I'll allow the contract extensions. Ben, any honorable mentions on transfers you liked?
Yeah, I really like the Dewan Jones Will Sands trade for both
That's in
parties.
there. You like it for
Uh,
both parties.
yeah, I do like it for both parties.
Tell me about why you like it on the Rev side because I think the likes on the Columbus side are fairly obvious.
I mean, I think Will Sands brings like presence in the midfield that they don't have right now. And I think he can help connect things in a way. And yeah, I just think, yeah, go for it, Harrison.
Can we get 5 minutes on the Revs? Can we just like talk for 5 minutes about the
Sure,
We can
Revs?
talk about the Revs for 5 minutes.
let's do
Set the timer.
The timer's on.
What the hell? What?
it.
I truthfully like have not even a single clue what this team is doing with anything.
They are the worst team in the East. They are the worst team in the East, and they got rid of one of their. I mean, granted, Kessler is having a terrible year, like 100%. But they gave him up for somebody that they're basically gonna get rid of. They just offloaded contract. A relatively cheap, young, promising center back who's just having confidence problem. They just
Yeah,
gave him away.
that one's bad. That one's
Like
a bad move.
no, they have no like they have virtually no redeeming qualities.
I
Like
think Will Sands will be one, and they also got 600K GAM out of it. I think like something must have this. What this tells me is something went really wrong in the international transfer market with Dewan
they're
Jones.
they're they're that is a good point. But also like Dewan Jones is way older than you think he is.
It's
Because
fair.
everybody's like he's 23, 24, up and coming fullback. He's 27. Like he's not young. I just think I think he has like a similar problem to like what Andre Blake and Sean Johnson had, where like they are good MLS players, but they're peak age. Like nobody, like there's just
Hmm.
not much of a European market for you. Same with
Hmm.
Jonathan Osorio. Like Jonathan Osorio was 30, was a very good TAM level MLS player, and the best foreign offer he got was Panathinaikos. Like it's a very weird one. On the Revs, like I hate the Kessler trade. I don't like the DeJuan Jones trade. Like I think that is actually like a hallmark of bad franchise management is trading away good peak MLS players on reasonable contracts for stuff. Like if you're trading them away for $2 million in GAM because you have a clear target you want to use it on, fine. But like that's not that. Like Will Sands is like you're gambling on like an okay prospect. Noel Buck has not played at all this year. He's got like 590s. I just don't I don't get it at all.
Well, and then they
Gil,
went and spent all that money on they bought two big players.
I just don't care. Like
Yeah.
they're just so deeply uninteresting to me. Like,
I just
like
don't think they'll do
they're
anything until Porter's
they're
gone.
their best young player that everybody loves is Bayraktarovic, who has the same XG output as Jones. Like he has one XG
Yeesh.
more as a winger the whole season. Like he's just not, I don't know. I just don't.
They
They're
gave
playing
Seattle money to go get their problem child. The one
they're
player that Seattle didn't want, they gave him money for.
they're playing Ian Harkes, who spent a whole bunch of seasons playing in the Scottish second division because he couldn't get game time at DC United, who were terrible. Like this is just not, they're not a serious team. They hired an unserious coach.
Yeah.
They sold all their best players for loads of money and then didn't really spend it or spent it poorly. I have no time for them. They're bad and they deserve it. And they should feel bad. They don't even get the full 5 minutes. That's my decision for the whole season. They get 3 minutes and they'll be happy about it.
What are so Kieran? Let's put this back on track and have a happy moment. What are some of your honorable mentions?
I have DeJuan Jones to Columbus. I really like it for Columbus, who are hoarding good wingbacks.
Oh my God. Yeah,
And
and also the guy from River Plate, he was also on my list, Herrera. Like
yeah,
they have four starting caliber
so
wingbacks. What the hell?
the thing I really like about that is that Nancy and Bez and previously Corey, who is now at and Isatal and previously Corey, who is now at Montreal, is that they have like very correctly identified that the way they play, the most difficult position physically is wingback. So we need lots of them who can
Yep.
play, and some of them have to be able to play both sides. And they're like, we're going to get four of them, and we're going to sub them at 60 minutes every single game, and they're always going to be fresh, and they're always going to be able to do the things we want. And that is like a very good marriage of recruitment and tactics, and I love it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And it
That's
honestly
a great
reminds me of
story.
the yeah, it reminds me of what the Rapids are doing with their wing. Like you'll have Fernandez start and then Calvin Harris subs in, and then you'll have Harris start and you'll have Fernandez sub in. Same with Cabral. Like we had a rotation of four wing. I'm actually
It's what the Union do with their
yep,
strikers. It's what they did with
yep.
their eights for a long time.
You find
Like
your
it's
key position, who's running, who's killing
yeah.
themselves game after game after game to get to the ball, and then you load
Uh,
up on that position.
I will always root for this man, but Vanny has done a really good job with LA with the wingers this year. Like there's always fresh legs. It's a very, very underappreciated aspect of MLS. I had a Denoran, I had Lewis O'Brien, and then the last one I had because it's a very rare win-win trade is Jaquil Marchiraldi to Montreal. TFC get a bunch of GAM, they retain a huge portion of Accelon. I've heard upwards of 20%, which is a
That's
large chunk.
huge.
This is a
Wow.
player that TFC have been trying to sell to Europe for a few years. The market never really materialized the way they wanted it to. Like people clown TFC because Bill Manning said TFC wanted 20 million 3 years ago because he was in the background of Arsenal All or Nothing because he won a trial there. He's fine. He's a good young prospect. He's been reasonably productive as a wingback. He's been awful as a winger. He's just not that good. It's a very fair fee for TFC to get. I think it's also a reasonable buy low candidate for Montreal to gamble on and do. Montreal have an ungodly amount of GAM from all the sales. Like this is a win-win. I like it for both teams. A lot of people in Canada Soccer were very mad about this deal, which people hate TFC. It is what it is. But that's my deal. Alrighty, timer's coming back. Dishonorable mention, or sorry, transfers we wish happened. These are deals that didn't get done or haven't got done or won't get done that we wish would happen. Harrison, Hit me with your transfer you wish happened, and I have a feeling it's going to come from the beloved city of Seattle.
So this is where I'm just gonna rant
All
about my
right.
team.
Do you need me to
Uh,
pause the timer? Do we need this?
no, like
No,
look.
we need the timer especially.
Ben's 100% accurate. Like, look, Vancouver went and got defensive upgrades and Ocampo. Like, Portland added Mason Toy, Finn Sermon. Like, those are really good pickups. If nothing else, just for depth. Seattle needs some help with depth right now. Their floor needs raised. They played really well last night against Pumas, but it was the first time that we actually saw them create some solid opportunities from open play. Teams are sitting and just asking Seattle to break them down low. And Pumas actually just kind of said, we're going to take the game to you. And Seattle flat just freaking broke their face with transition game. And that's what Seattle's going to do. And everyone in MLS knows that that's what Seattle's going to do. They don't have a plan B. And they need to figure out what that plan B is going to be. And they did nothing. They did nothing. There is nobody coming. There's nobody on the incoming. And it's just the most idiotic thing for a team that wants to compete for trophies that's in the middle of two different trophy runs that is not doing a thing. It's just I don't understand. I don't know where that decision making process comes from because it's just so blatantly obvious that they need help, that they need floor. If all you need is depth, if that's all you're adding, great. That's what
So
fans want to see right now is depth.
a
They're in the
thing,
middle. They're right between Vancouver and Portland in the standings. Right? They're all within 3 points of each other going forward. And that means something here. That still means something here. I don't want to face Portland in the playoffs. I don't want to face Vancouver in the playoffs. I want to get away from them. I want to get space.
yeah, and they're all roughly like the same on XGD. Like they're all like plus 2, 3, 4 teams. I think a thing I don't really understand about Seattle, and I want to phrase this carefully because like I don't want to get out over my skis here. No. It's not like that. Seattle are like quite good, but they haven't been very good for like 4 years,
Yeah.
5 years maybe. What I don't understand is they have three starters. Arguably, if I open this up, um like six starters who are peak to late peak. Like Christian Roldan is 29. Jordan Morris is about to turn 30. Stefan Fry is 40. Is 38. Rusnak is 30. Yaimar is 32. Nuhu's 27. Alex Roldan is 28. João Paulo is 34. Rui Diaz is 34. Like that is your I just listed all of your top 10 players by minutes except for Jackson Reagan, who's 25, and Leo Chu, who's 24, is the top 10. That is a team who should be like all in, chips on the table, win now. Or
Well,
or
Leo Chu's not even in the raw, like he's not even making the team anymore.
no, well this is like
Sure.
on minutes, like their team is very weird because it's like a bunch of guys who play like 1,500 minutes and then nobody more than 800 minutes. Like it's a weird group. Um you could say they pushed all the chips in going and getting Pedro de la Vega, who's not good, and we told you this, and he's always injured. Everyone knew this except for the Sounders, apparently. I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, this team is like quite good with very little transfer help. Like, go do something. Like, you're actually one of the most profitable franchises in the league. Like, go do
Yeah.
something. And it's very uncomfortable to me. We talked about this, I think, on the pod. I think we had like a specific pod, or we were going to talk about this, that their owners talking about like, oh, we see that spending doesn't correlate with success in MLS, so we're not going to spend. Like, what is that? You're supposed to say no, we spend smarter or something like that. Like, what is that? I would be very pissed off. Is there, because we only have 30 seconds left on this timer, and I'm gonna pause the timer to let you get this point out. Is there a player you like, give me one position You don't have to give me a name, but like give me a position, and if you have a name, give me a name that you would have loved to see.
I don't have a name, but a winger. Absolutely a winger or
That's
or a striker to put Morris back on the wing. I will
hey,
give Morris some credit. He played really well, some good hold up last night, but he's a winger, and
I
I
have
think that he should still be out at the wings.
I have one question for you before we move on. Should Paul Rothrock be on the plane?
100%. What like we are team Rothrock, all right, at
We
this
are
point in
team.
time.
Paul Rothrock is the new Patty Mullins. Alrighty, Ben, what's a transfer that you wanted to see and hopefully not the Seattle Sounders?
It's actually very similar to Harrison's because I'm gonna talk about my team and it's gonna be about the winger, but I'm not upset about it. And so one of the more underrated season-ending injuries out there has been Kevin Cabral. Kevin Cabral this season among wingers has the third most receiving G plus. He's been
Really?
Yes. I mean
Whoa.
the dude can't pass, but the
Whoa,
dude
that's
gets in
fun.
amazing spots and he always has and he's been on fire. Like balls to Kevin Cabral have created so much danger for the Rapids this year. And so losing him fascinatingly is gonna really be hard. And you can see it. They've been less dynamic since he's been out since that Galaxy game. Like we've gotten some good play, like the model's still there, but you can tell we're hurting for some help on the wings. And Jonathan Lewis has helped a little bit. And like I really appreciate that Artemis has gotten him back to his roots, which was getting in behind, playing those simple balls. Because when the game slowed down under Robin Fraser, he just did not know what to do. So he's looking back to his old NYCFC self. I wish we would have signed a winger. There was rumors that we were going to be targeting a winger. It doesn't look like a transfer or a trade is going to happen before the deadline because no one's heard any rumors. So basically, Rapids fandom is like, okay, that's it. However, Kieran, you mentioned a certain G plus pick earlier. I think the Rapids should go sign a certain free agent named Robbie Robinson
Oh,
and
that's a
stick
fun
him on
one.
the left wing.
That's a fun one. I'm actually like kind of curious like what's going on there because surely somebody would have taken a flyer on him. Like he wasn't bad. Even
I
if you
don't
like
know.
even
Well,
if you
not only
don't
that, but
look
they need money. They need money, right? They need allocation. You'd think somebody would give them like a
Mhm.
few, like 150, if nothing else.
And they've been selling like their youth prospects to like USL and stuff
Yeah,
recently. Like they're just and
absolutely.
then the like just one contract gets nullified. So I'm concerned that it's an injury thing. Like when I drafted him, I was like, is he still injured? And everyone's like, probably not.
well, he missed all the preseason with like a calf thing,
Yeah.
and then he got his contract terminated a month ago. Like I don't know. I
Hmm.
don't.
Well,
I may
he was waived. It wasn't terminated. So he went through waivers, but I think he cleared waivers and he's a free agent now.
interesting. Yeah. I wonder if there's like
Yeah. So
I,
stuff we
I,
don't
I,
know about.
yeah, or like I wonder if there's like some weird shenanigans with like if you want to pick him up during the season and not through the re-entry draft. Like if there's I don't know. It's not like
Mhm.
he made very much money. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
know.
Maybe
can
there's a
I can
cheaper way
I
to do it.
can I interest you in a Kamani Stewart Baines to play?
I mean, sure. I think he should get a few more minutes.
Has he
I'd be
seen
down with that.
has he seen next pro minutes?
I haven't been watching. I haven't been looking to
Fair
be
enough.
honest,
Very
probably.
fair.
But yeah,
He's a fun like
I think he'd be
super
good.
stretchy wingback. Like he's like a track star pace. I think we would be remiss if we're talking about transfers that we wish happened and maybe didn't happen. Moise Bombito today got the here we
Mhm.
go from Fabrizio Romano to Nice, which I think is going to be a big, big loss for this team.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty devastated. But it was gonna happen whether now or later, and we
I
always
think
should be
given
preparing for that. So it's
Yeah, I
fine.
think given how his tournament went with
Yeah,
Canada at the Copa America, I think it was going to be very difficult to refuse a move
yeah. And
this
I did
summer.
call it, so I'm gonna take my victory lap and say,
You
hey,
did.
a year from now he's gonna be like the top prospect, and he's already.
It's so funny
Yeah.
because we all looked at him. We're like, this kid's unbelievable. Like I think we've told the story on the pod before, but like five teams tried to trade up to number two or number one to take him. Like a lot of teams really tried. I think Orlando were one. Um, a few teams like really, really tried. Vancouver tried to trade up to get him. I know that. Yeah, he was, and he has hit a developmental home run. It's a very, very fun transfer. Harrison, do you have any
I
Colorado thoughts?
I just have a question actually. So, Ben, I kind of read a comment. It might have been a Doyle tweet because we haven't referenced that dude enough in this conversation today.
Doyle
You,
doesn't listen to our podcast. He
he
told me
doesn't,
this.
but you think that you think we're like trying to give him some like type of like mental, anyways. So Chris Armas was basically quoted as saying like he's the reason why they can get away with so much is because of both his pace and his ability in transition. What do they do? How are they going to absorb his loss? Because they don't. It's not like you have just another one of his kind sitting on there. It feel like in the back half of this team, you're going to have to make some tactical changes.
Yeah, I think the team's going to play more compact. I think they're going to play a little more possession, and I think they're going to try and draw the other team in a little bit. I think you saw like you could see some of that happening against Juarez. Like it was a fun game to watch. Like it felt dynamic. It didn't feel like like some of the games immediately after the injury just felt straight up slow, which has not been the case for the team this far. I feel like Jay Lewis getting his legs under him a little bit has helped a lot. And I think that just being a little more compact, playing a little more combination once you draw them in and then find that gap. Like you don't have to rely you with Cabral, his pace just any space is space that he can get to. Now you have to like create the space a little bit more as a collective. And I think it's possible. I think also part of the problem was Mihailovic was on Olympic duty and getting him back and getting him settled is going to help with that a lot because he runs, he presses, he combines, he draws people out of position on the opposing defenses. So I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried that they won't make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a home field advantage for the first game. It's only going to be well, I think it's going to be like seed 8 through 5 at this point, and I think we're going to get bounced right away. But I would have taken that at the start of this year, and given what has happened with Cabral's injury and selling Moist, that would be totally fine with me.
That's our timer. I was very generous timer on that one. I don't know what happened there, but I like listening to Ben talk about the Rapids. It's always fun. The Rapids don't get enough love. They're really good this year. My transfer I wish happened is so ridiculous, but there were some rumors about Memphis Depay joining New York Red Bull, and he wanted like an Insigne Messi level contract. And I think this would have been a baller transfer. And I really want to use this to talk about the Red Bulls. Like Memphis is a crazy shot productive player. He hasn't played that much, extremely shot creative. He creates shots, he takes shots, good shots, doesn't really defend. But I think the Red Bull are like a non-Lewis Morgan goal scorer away from being like legitimately one of the best teams in the league, like very close to Columbus, Miami. Um, and they have like just struggled with every striker deal. Apparently, they got rejected by a Polish first division striker today. They're like maybe gonna trade for Tom Barlow back. Uh, I just this is apparently a
Is
thing.
that real? Is that really a rumor?
That can't happen.
That apparently that is a real thing.
God, imagine being Tom
Um,
Barlow.
Like
Oh,
to the point that to the point that like our favorite or my favorite Red Bull person to talk to, AX on Twitter was like, just message me today. How crazy is RBNY? Just another waste of a season. This org is not serious. So like I think this team's actually really good. Like the defense is super legit. They are the lowest by XGA in the whole league. I have not looked to see if like that is declining over time. Like I think they have made very good tactical choices with the talent available to them. However, like this is a team that is so desperate for anyone to do anything the other way. And they have a legit good attack. They have the second best attack in the East. They have the best expected goal difference in the East. It's them and the Crew and Cincinnati, and nobody else is close. However, however, like they just have nothing going forward that is not Lewis Morgan.
nothing.
Dante Vanzier, to his credit, has actually been like mildly productive. Like he's been 0.6 XG plus XA non-penalty. Um, and it's weird because he's like 7 XG, 3 XA, but he's 2 goals, 7 assists. So it's like a weird do-si-do there. but he just like doesn't he never feels convincing to me. I feel like Elias Manuel should do way more than he does. Forsberg was doing a lot, but I think is down injured now. Like they need somebody to score more goals, whether it's a midfielder who like does stuff in the final third.
Yeah.
I don't know. Ben, what do you think about the Red Bull?
So my confusion is this not a global network of clubs where
Just
there
go get
surely
some fucking Austrian guy.
yeah, like there's got to be someone on Salzburg who can put the ball in the net and isn't playing.
Go
Come
get like
on.
who is that big Serbian guy, or Croatian guy, Bruno Pekovic from Salzburg. Get that guy. Like this is the whole point of this. You have Bragantino, you have Red Bull New York, you have RB Leipzig, you have FC Liefering, who are the other Austrian team, and you have Leipzig. Like surely you can find one guy who will go live in New York. What a shame that can score goals at a decent level.
For
You know,
like 4 months. Just 4 months.
Harrison, what do you
it's
think?
it's crazy because you have New York Red Bulls who are struggling, and then you have New York who just the I was going to say the Yankees. They play in the Yankee Stadium, right? City has been
More of the
unloading.
Mets at this point.
Well, they're still a really talented team. I mean, they just beat
They're
Tigres.
yeah, they just beat Tigres, which is wild.
I mean more that they literally play at the Mets Stadium more than Yankee
Oh yeah,
Stadium.
yeah. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. But like, they didn't sign anybody, and they didn't need to.
I was
They basically grew through, took what they didn't need anymore, let them walk, and was like, "This is our team."
yeah.
What an elegant way to do it! And they are sitting in such a comfortable spot. They're gonna compete. They probably won't go more than the first or second round, but they have a really talented team that's going to grow and is
I
going to get
mean,
better.
they have enough talent that they basically just like nuked Talis Magna and we're like, we're not playing you
Right?
anymore. And just like, which I think was stupid. I was going to put that as one of my most hated transfers because I was like, why is
It's
this guy not playing?
shocking. But at the same time, they're like, you know what? You're not going to work out here. I have three others. That's come on.
Yeah,
And that's
their
the thing.
squad is if you look at their age profile, they are like a football manager player's wet dream. Like they have not a, they have
100%.
their oldest player in their top 20 by minutes or top 15 by minutes is 29. Everyone else 25, 24, 25, 24, 25, 19, 23, 21, 25, 23, 27, 20, 20. That's the timer because we talked about New York, but the wrong New York.
But that's what the Red Bulls needed, right? The Red Bulls
I do.
should
I
be
agree.
that.
I agree. They're not as old. Their
But
squad
it's not
profile
about
is not
age.
bad.
It's not about the age and all that other stuff. And Ben, here,
Th-
I'll
To
give you
to
in
be
just a
fair,
second.
no,
They
they're the
should be able to
same.
play. They should be able to grab guys and have guys in the waiting, so that when Van Zier isn't scoring goals, they have options, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yes,
the
I do.
problem.
I do think City Football Group have done a better job of leveraging their global talent network. I think that is undeniably true. But that's the timer. So we're gonna move on to trivia now. So let's move on. Does anybody have any last transfers they want to talk about? Anything else that popped up? I don't have anything else. I'm annoyed TFC didn't use that money now, but I imagine they have a plan in the future. I've liked their recruitment for the most part. Maybe they can buy more drones. Alrighty, trivia. We're gonna have trivia, transfer themed trivia is what I was trying to spit out there. So 6 questions as usual, all about transfers. Ben, I think you won last time.
I don't think I've
So
won once.
I used to do
just
this.
think you just default. I just think you assume like because Ian always beat Harrison.
I think he assumes correctly.
I think I'm pretty sure that when Harrison and Ian were on, I always used to say I think Harrison won last week.
Yeah.
So now I'm doing the same thing again. Well, Ben, we're gonna start with you anyways. 1 to 6, what question do you want?
Let's do 4.
Alrighty. So including loans, but not loans to your own next pro team, because those are not real. So like
That doesn't
interclub
count.
transfers.
Right.
How many total moves, incoming and outgoing, have MLS teams made in the 2024 season? Only official announced transfers as per transfer market.
Is this
Over
secondary or both primary and secondary?
both windows
Okay.
set the line, or you can ask Harrison to set the line. The over under. How many total?
Harrison, set the line.
35.
Over.
Excuse me. Hold on. We're not. No, I'm not accepting that. Harrison, total transfers and loans, every team in MLS combined.
Transfers and loans. Every
Everything.
team.
Yeah. If you said a bad line here again, I'm just going to give Ben the points. I'll tell you it's over 35 for sure. Every team in MLS. You think every team in MLS made one transfer?
That's almost a transfer. For
I was
every team.
when you said it, I thought it was this window.
No,
Sorry.
That's
total,
why I wanted
total,
to
total,
clarify.
total,
Yeah.
total,
Yeah.
total. Off
Both windows.
season and summer. Sorry.
Yeah. So
It's a lot of moves. Incoming, outgoing, everything. Like Atlanta United are probably 35 on their own.
I'm gonna God, I'm gonna say 150, 100,
All right,
155, 155.
I'll accept that line. 155. Ben, higher or lower?
I still think it's higher.
And you're right to think it's higher. 208.
Mm.
208. That's
That's a
so
lot.
I
many.
didn't think it was over 170.
That's like 8 per team. That's so many.
I felt like when we talked about it at the beginning of the season, we talked about transfer slowing. And I guess
Mhm.
I felt like this window, kind of the transfer window itself, I felt kind of slowed.
I feel like the incomings didn't though. You know what I mean? And so maybe the outgoings make room for those real less flashy, so you don't notice. But
I
it's
guess.
about even. It's like
Mhm.
80 outgoings and 120 incoming, something like that.
Interesting.
Alrighty, Ben, you're up 2-0. Harrison, can you claw it back 1-6, except for number 4?
I guess I'll go with number 3.
Already, one team appears 5 times in the top 10 inbound MLS transfers with 5 purchases north of 10 million euros. Who are that team?
Toronto.
It's not Toronto. Toronto are in there 0 times in the top 10, but they're 3 in the top 20. With Defoe, Bradley, and Pozuelo.
I thought Giovinco. Oh, I
think it was a
guess
free transfer, I believe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I thought his first one was, but okay.
Ben, who has 5 of the top 10 biggest buys in MLS?
Atlanta.
That's the one. Atlanta. They've got Moranchuk. They've got all the Argentinians. If you include incomings and outgoings, they have like 13 of the top
Yeah.
20.
They kind of rule the transfer market.
I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought Toronto. I guess I just
That's a good
thought
guess.
of it.
It's a good guess.
They spent
That's
a lot
like
of
the
money.
other one. That's like the other one I would have guessed.
All right. Ben, you're taking a commanding 3-0 lead. See, I was right to think you won.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben, next question. What do we got?
Let's do 2.
Alrighty. Top 10 outbound MLS transfers. You guys are going to take turns naming players in that top 10 until somebody gets one wrong. Ben, you're going to go first. Top 10 sales in MLS. Name a player.
Almiron.
Almiron, that's number 1. 24 million euros. Harrison.
Freezing. God, who was just sold? Gomez.
That's not official yet, but it would be in there. So I'm going to let you pick another name. But it would be in there. So I'll let you pick another name.
Josie Altidore.
Not in the top 10. All
Really?
time, unfortunately.
So many years have passed.
He is 18th now at 7 million euros.
I thought for sure he'd be in the top 10 still.
Oh my God, Moise Bombito went for Josie Altidore money.
Yeah,
More than Josie Altidore money.
Top 10, Miguel Almiron, Thiago Almada, John Duran, Ricardo Pepi, Georgie Petrovic, Pity Martinez, Tati Castellanos, Alfonso
Why didn't I
Davies,
just think of
Brendan Aronson, and sneaking in Caleb Wiley to Chelsea.
Ooh.
Yeah, Chelsea in here twice. We love the MLS over there, don't we? Well, I think Harrison can no longer win at all. It's 5-0. But Harrison, you're up. What question do you want?
I don't know. Pick one.
Alrighty. Over under. So you can set the line or ask Ben to set it for you. How many transfers out of MLS have been above 10 million euros?
Yeah, Ben, set the line.
All right. Well, that was
this is first. Okay, hold on. This is really fun because I wrote this question an hour and a half ago now, and Transfer Market has since updated and it is now a new number. So I'm very glad I have the yeah. So it is
All
one
right.
more than whatever it was an hour ago.
Um,
Make of that what you will.
I'm going to put the line at
Remember, if you get the line
9.
perfect, you get 3 points.
Above.
You're setting the line at 9. Harrison's
9.
taking over. He is correct. The answer is
Damn.
12. The answer
Ooh.
is 12. Yeah. With the two of those are this window in Thiago Almada and Caleb Wiley. So before this window, you would have had it. You would have had it. But
Dang.
unfortunately, Harrison pulls one back. So Harrison 5-2. Actually, you can win. There's 2 more questions. You could tie this up. Ben, number 2 or number 6?
Number 6.
Um, oh no, we already did number 2.
Yeah, I thought it was
All
5
right,
or
number
6.
5 or 6. 5 or 6. You're right. 5
I'll
or
stick
6.
with 6.
Alrighty. So the U.S. club transfer record received, so like money coming into a U.S. club, has been broken 6 times since 1990. I want you to name any 3 of those 6 players to break the transfer record.
Altador.
Altidore is one of them. He was 5th in that sequence. So there's 1 after him and 4 before him. That's tough. Josie Altidore was a long time ago. 4
This
before him.
this is Americans, you said
Not
specifically?
Americans, two
Okay,
American clubs. So like a foreign player leaving MLS would count.
okay. Um, Almiron.
Yep. So
He
there's
broke the
2.
record. So it has to be
There's 2. Now
pre-Altador.
you got to go way back pre-Altidore. So I'll tell you, one of these was 1990, and then the other ones were like 94, 96, 98, or 96, 98, 2000, something like that.
Valderrama. Did he get
It's a good
transferred?
it's a good guess, but no.
Damn.
Harrison, if you name 2 of the remaining 4, I'll give you both points here. I'll be very generous.
That's fair.
I think one of them is Hungarian, isn't he?
Fishing.
Yeah, no, I don't know the name. I don't know the
No.
names. I don't know names.
Well,
I
hold
don't
on,
remember.
Ben. Were you making a joke by saying fishing there after the famous
No.
story about this player?
No. Oh, no. I was just thinking
Okay,
of the fishing for a response.
Harrison, submit your guess, and then I'll tell
I
what
have
the
none.
story is.
I'm done. Give him the point. Give him to Ben.
Well, Ben gets no points because he didn't get 3. The answers are Todd Ramos, Brad Friedel, Eddie Lewis, and Clint Dempsey to Fulham.
I should have known Dempsey. That's
However,
the
the
one.
player you were thinking of was Puskas, who, or not Puskas, oh my God, sorry, the one who played at the World Cup. Oh my God, you're thinking of Hristo Stoichkov, who is Bulgarian,
Yes,
who
yes,
played in MLS.
yes.
Stoichkov in MLS preseason in Florida used to go fishing every day during preseason and like threw his hook at a player and like hooked him with his fishing rod. There's like a big story on the Athletic about it a few years ago. This has been so off track. Question 5. I think this is Harrison's. Harrison, I'm going to give you a chance to steal the result here. It's
What?
5 to,
No.
it's 5 to, no. You're going to see. I'm going to make it very difficult for you though. So there are 6 clubs who have broken their transfer record in the winter window. So not the summer window. Winter window, spending a combined $44 million. Normally, the question is if you name 3 of them, you get 2 points. If you name all 6, I'll give you the win outright. But if you get 3, you just get 2 points and you lose by 1. So you got to name all 6. 6 clubs broke their transfer record, winter window. Who are they? Go.
Charlotte.
Charlotte with Lyle Labada is 1.
This transfer window.
Winter window only.
Right. This past winter.
Yeah.
Portland.
Portland, not on the list, unfortunately. Not on the list.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Ben pointing at himself. Colorado is 1. Ben, do you want to take a guess at any of the other ones?
No, not at all. I'm gonna take this job.
Chicago with Hugo Kuipers.
I was going. I wasn't sure that was on my list of
Dallas with Petter Musa. The
Oh,
LA
I missed
Galaxy
that.
with Gabriel Peck, which is surprising to me, and
Really?
San Jose with Hernan Lopez. I believe RSL broke their window or their record this window, and somebody else I can't remember who. That's it. That was the extremely scuffed transfer trivia. I bet you our Discord will slap at this. I bet you there'll be a few
Oh
perfect.
yeah, they
Mhm.
absolutely will, but
Deservedly.
it's a lot different. It is so much different doing it on here.
Oh
Like
yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
When
remember listening and being like, "How are you not getting this?" And now I'm like, "I don't know anything. I don't know why am
yeah. Yeah.
I?" So
Well, that's it for today's episode. Hopefully this will be out before the deadline passes tomorrow. Um, but that's it from us. I know we took a little bit of a hiatus. We might take another little break. We'll see how things go with Leagues Cup. We might also do something fun for Leagues Cup final. Keep your eyes peeled. And we hope you've been enjoying the Olympic episodes as the U.S. Women's National Team took gold. I have been loving the expected own goals episodes. If you want to support them, you can check out their Patreon. They're doing like live watch alongs and stuff. Those guys are about it. They also did an episode digging into G Plus, which was pretty good. Um, and of course, if you want to support the show, if you want to support ASA, always check out the ASA Patreon. We've got a Discord in there. It's $5 a month. It's the only tier we got, but it's a good place. You can get direct access to ask questions about the site, to ask about for us to talk about stuff, for people to write about stuff, to talk about MLS, to talk about refereeing. We get a legit ref in there, so it's always great when there's like horrible refereeing decisions. You can talk about Sergi Boyko. It's a fun one. It's a good place. It's a good place. So that's it from us. We will see you at an undisclosed time in the future, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, who knows? And that's it from us. And as always, enjoy soccer.